Welcome back. President Trump says oil is flowing freely once again through the Strait of Hormuz. He posted on Truth Social this morning, writing a record 19 million barrels of oil went through the strait yesterday alone. Oil prices this morning are lower once again and now breaking $74 a barrel. Crude oil down 0.75% at $73.27 right now. The conflict in Iran sending consumer costs higher, of course. Airlines dealing with surging jet fuel costs. Analysts warning costs are likely to remain high despite the recent ceasefire. Joining me now in this Fox Business exclusive is the CEO of Delta Airlines, Ed Bastian, back with me. Ed, great to see you.
Good to be with you, Maria.
Thanks so much for being back with me. And what has been the impact of this spiking oil situation on business at Delta?
Well, it went up and has come back down meaningfully, and we'll see where the rest of the year goes. But for us in the current quarter, which we're in, it's our second quarter, it impacted our costs almost $2 billion. So it had a meaningful impact on cost, certainly had an impact on revenues as well, as we needed to price some of that. We absorbed a lot of it, but we were able to price some of it as well.
So you did raise prices on some?
We had no choice.
Do you expect prices to keep going higher?
I don't think so. I think the initial shock, prices went up about 10 to 15%, not just Delta, across the airline industry. And I think that was probably the right level. Oil prices have come down now, so I think we're in a pretty good spot.
Such a good window into the broad macro story to look at Delta Airlines, to look at your business. How would you assess the economy right now?
Well, there's not just one economy. Right, there's the high end of the economy is really strong. We talk about the K-shaped economy, and spending is up. Spending, by the way, is up across all categories, not just at the higher premium ends.
Interesting.
But the more premium you are, the more demand there is for the products, such as our Delta One services, our opportunities to go just about anywhere in the world, just anytime you want to go. At the same time, the lower end of the economy is they're struggling, but that's largely not our consumer. Our consumer is at a bit higher level.
Are you surprised that people have sort of seen through this war in Iran and they're spending and they're still, the sentiment is high, the markets are at record highs?
Yeah, I'm not. I think a little bit of this is the post-COVID effect. People, particularly in our business and travel and the experience business.
Yeah, that's a good point.
People had so much taken from them. They're a little bit immune to the daily headline change. And they said, I'm not going to sit home and wait for the right time to go. I'm going to take advantage of it. And by the way, it's not just air travel. It's going out to a show. It's going out to a concert. It's whatever you're going to do to invest in yourself. That's where the economy is high. If you're buying something, maybe not so much, but if you're investing in yourself, that economy is very, very strong.
Oh, yeah. No, we've seen services revenue go higher in a number of categories. So summer travel season now in full swing. Yeah. We're looking ahead to the end of the next couple of months. Domestic and international travelers, what are you seeing in terms of bookings? What are you expecting toward end of summer into fall?
Bookings have continued to be very resilient. As I said, we've had to raise prices because of the high fuel prices, but that has not impacted bookings at all because people want to go. And again, the higher end, such as Delta, allows for us to be able to do that. As we get out into the fall, I expect that the full year is going to be really healthy.
And you got a pretty good bump because of the World Cup. We've got, what, 1.5 million visitors, foreigners in the country right now. Also, we're heading into the July 4th celebrations, America 250.
Yeah.
Any impact?
Yeah, no, it's all good. People want to go. People want to experience. People hear about these opportunities and they want to participate. And the international inbound travel, which is the area probably was the softest for the last several years, is starting to pick up again. And the World Cup's been an impetus for it, and it's been great because I'm so proud of how our country has hosted people from around the world. They're celebrating, they're having fun, whether it's in New York or our home in Atlanta, where it's a big. But you just see there's tens of thousands of people just out in the streets enjoying themselves in a wonderful way.
I love that. That is great. And I know, Ed, Delta is expanding international routes. We just were talking about Sardinia in the commercial break. You're doing Boston to Madrid. You've got France's Nice, Seattle, Rome, and Barcelona, and New York JFK to Sardinia. Porto and Malta. Tell us about these expansions. They include multiple lounges to boost the premium travel experience as well.
Yeah, our future is international. Delta, we're a very large U.S. airline. We just celebrated this past year our 100th anniversary, the first U.S. airline to reach 100. Delta reached it last year, so we're now starting, thank you, our second century of flight, and it's going to be around the world. When you think about air travel, people come to me and say, where's the growth going to be? Because in the U.S., air travel is ubiquitous. You can jump on a plane from here in an hour's time to almost anywhere you want to go. But when you realize only 1 in 5 people in the world have ever stepped foot on an airplane, that tells you where the opportunities are. So expanding into all of these different regions, not just in Europe, but in Southeast Asia, going down to South America, the Middle East, we're launching a flight directly to Riyadh. First U.S. airline back into Riyadh in decades. We're going from Atlanta direct to Riyadh starting in October. We're very excited.
But one of the analysts said that when you look at Delta, you're talking about growth in Asia and the Middle East, the most attractive long-term opportunity for Delta, in part supported by the strengthening of your LAX hubs. Yeah,
the West Coast has been strong. We're the #1 airline in LAX, and we just launched a few weeks ago direct service back into Hong Kong. Direct out of LA. We're going to be going into Manila and other parts of the Pacific.
Yeah, that's great with the international plans. And look, I think you've also got significant flexibility when it comes to capacity. 200 aircraft scheduled for retirement over the next decade. You've developed durable competitive advantages in where and how you generate profits in that regard. Tell us about Delta Tech Ops. This is evolving into a multi-billion-dollar business. 11,000 employees in that division alone?
Yeah, we're the largest airline technical operation in the world right here in the U.S. So it's a great business for us to be in. We operate and serve as many of our other airlines' engines as we do our own. And our people love continuing to grow that line of business.
What a business that is. So you've got maintenance, repair, and overhaul for third party, for other airlines, and you're talking about potential revenue all the way up to $1 billion in that one segment?
Oh yeah, we're over $1 billion already.
Yeah.
I think this is probably going to get closer to $3 billion over the next 3 to 5 years, because you got a lot of new engine technologies have come out. We have licenses that are exclusive across all of the main new engine platforms. And when you think about supply chain, one of the things that's hurt our business over the last 5 years, say post-COVID, is getting the supply chain back up with a lot of new engine technologies. Our team's there to support all forms of engine technologies you can imagine.
By the way, that's one thing that President Trump brings up a lot when I ask him about China, because China needs our aerospace as much as we need certain things from the China supply chain.
100%.
It's nice to have that kind of leverage in the airline industry.
Yeah. This is the industry that the U.S. holds, is the gold standard, and holds whether it's Boeing, whether it's our airlines, our aviation space, our technical prowess and know-how, we're the gold standard.
Congratulations on that, Ed. That is a big deal. Talk to us about CapEx. How are you allocating capital in the year ahead, in the 5 years ahead? What's most important and will be treating your capital best?
One of the things we've done over the years, particularly in coming out of COVID, was we wanted to be very disciplined about continuing to invest in the future, but also paying down the debt that we had to take. Because the airline industry goes up and down. It's a turbulent business model. We got all of our investment grade ratings back from all 3 agencies, which I'm proud of.
I know you did.
We continue to pay down debt even further. We just had a great validation. Berkshire came back into our stock. They're one of our largest shareholders right now, which is great to see. And we're investing we generate about $10 billion of cash a year. We put about half of that back into the business, so $5 billion of CapEx. A lot of it's in airplanes and new engine technologies, but also technology itself. And the other half has been largely going to pay down debt. And we're going to get to a point here in the next couple of years where our balance sheet will be a fortress balance sheet, something that's never really happened in our industry to that point. And you're seeing Delta, you've seen our stock price grow. We're at an all-time record high. We're changing the paradigm for investors, that this is an investable industry to hold for the long term. This is not a trade. This is a place you want to be. Well,
I don't know that we've ever talked about a fortress balance sheet in the airline industry.
That's the first time.
Yeah, first time. So congrats on that. Now, what kind of issues do you face or barriers barriers might be there with regard to air traffic control? Are there constraints that you could talk about? How can the federal government help you in terms of permitting or deregulation or air traffic control issues, which actually Sean Duffy has talked about quite a bit?
Yeah, well, congratulations to Secretary Duffy and Administrator Bedford and the administration, because we have seen more progress being made to eliminate those bottlenecks and continue to allow aviation to flow smoothly in the last year and a half than we've had probably in the last number of decades. It's that significant. $12 billion was one of the first appropriations last year that we received for the FAA. They're putting that to work. A lot of it's going into infrastructure at the present time. Not ready for us to bring in the new technologies and applications, but they're just starting to come on the scene. And I hope, as an American people, we continue to invest in that future. It's probably the smartest investment that we can make, because what we're doing is we're making the airflow more smoothly. We're enabling people, not just for safety. Safety is always our top priority, but allow for more flights. People ask me all the time, what's happening with prices? When do you see prices will come down when we can fly more, when there's more supply. It's a supply and demand. Right now, we're kind of logjammed. There's not a lot of supply we can bring in because the air traffic control system is congested.
Right.
As you open up the skies and you bring more flow, that's going to help bring pricing down and enable us to bring more people to more places.
And I want to get back to technology in a moment, because I know you're integrating AI, so I'll get to that. But with regard to capacity, Spirit is now gone. I mean, does the lack of Spirit in the sky, does that help on capacity? What's the impact?
Well, it's had a minimal impact. Again, not as much on our business model. We're on the other end of that spectrum.
Right.
But for some of the lower priced models that are out there, they're getting a benefit. But that capacity was quickly absorbed into the system. And unfortunately, Spirit was not a good business model. Didn't survive, and that's what happens in our industry. You know, we kind of continue to grow and eat our own a little bit. You know, if you're not willing to be able to make the right decisions, you get absorbed.
Can you scale it up now with with another acquisition?
I don't think we're going to be in the acquisition game. Delta is already the largest, and we're successful, and I see no reason.
Well, I mean, look, you're on the other end when you say the other end of Spirit. Yeah, you're right. You're catering in many ways to a business traveler, a higher-ender traveler. Yeah. I mean, I went to the Delta One lounge, and I was just astounded at how wonderful it is. I mean, there's so many things to do in that Delta lounge. You've got a couple of them. This is a high-end lounge.
Yeah. That part of our business is growing double digits. And it's been growing double digits for the last several years. Our American Express partnership, that has been growing double digits.
That was critical. That was a good one.
Yeah, I was with American Express yesterday here in New York, and we had a great looking to the future where we're going to go next. So the higher the premium opportunity, the greater the growth potential. And that's where all of our investment's going. So we're not investing as much in, we're still doing fine on the lower end.
Sure.
And we got basic economy and models to bring people in, because those people eventually need to move into and want to move into the premium space. But but all of our growth is going into that upper end.
So let's talk tech for a moment, because you are integrating artificial intelligence into some operations.
Yeah.
And I want to get your take on what kind of features are enhancing the travel experience. How has AI been used in your business?
Well, AI, to me, I always refer to it as augmented intelligence. I hate the term artificial intelligence. You wonder why people don't trust AI, because you don't know what's going to, it's artificial, you don't know what's going to happen to it. Who's in charge? Our people are in charge, and keeping the people at the controls of this. So it's going to help us make smarter decisions, help our customers take more control of the experience. We've launched a product called Delta Concierge, which is on our app, which gives you more and more opportunities for you when you want to make a change in plans, maybe there's a weather delay, you want to move your seat, you want to move your flight, you want to do something. You can continue to control the experience on your end, and that's what customers really prefer.
Yeah, it's
the ability
about trust.
to take control and trust, and having a human at the reins. You know, our business is complicated. We fly over 5,000 flights every single day, all over the world, and every day you have to make different decisions. But when you have all the knowledge and know-how of how the past has been, you can be more predictive rather than just using your instinct and your gut to make decisions, and you have more data. And so it better equips our people to better serve our customers.
Well, shareholders and citizens are so happy that you've been at your job for as long as you have. You're celebrating more than 10 years as CEO of Delta. Congratulations to you, Ed. 100 years for Delta, the centennial year in business, and this year is America's 250th birthday, and you're celebrating 10 years. Look ahead for us. What does the next 10 years look like?
Oh, it's incredibly exciting. As I say, I think there's going to be a lot of international growth ahead. Everyone that can go overseas, I think, to really enjoy going overseas and seeing the world and learning about new places. Connecting is what we do for a living. We like to say at Delta, no one better connects the world, and that's where our future is.
And we also love sitting on the plane and seeing that video. So it's also nice to come home.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as soon as you get your seat on the way home, you already feel like you're halfway there.
Yeah, Ed, congratulations.
Maria, it's so good to be with you.
Great to see you this morning. Thank you. Ed Bastian is the CEO of Delta Airlines. We'll be watching that growth story of Delta. Stay with us. We'll be right back.